Good morning. My name is Marquis Soto. I'm a third-year medical student here at the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University and the inaugural president of Stony Brook's Black Men in White Coats chapter. I just want to welcome all of the students and chaperones. I'm here at Stony Brook and Long Island's first Black Men in White Coats Youth Summit. So I'll be your MC for the event. And I just want to start by introducing our chapter. So if our chapter can just please stand. So any of these individuals that you see here, we have Jermaine all the way to the left, Raymond, Dr. Farquharson, one of our club advisors, Dr. Phillips, another one of our club advisors. Any of the people that you see here standing will be able to help you throughout the event, as well as anyone with the blue name tags on. Those are all our Stony Brook affiliates and volunteers. All right. All right, so now we're going to play a little game. Who wants to play a game? You don't sound too excited. Who wants to play a game? All right, awesome. So there are a lot of you coming from all over New York. So when I say the location that your school is from, you're just going to make some noise. And the loudest borough or location wins, all right? So let's just practice. So let's start with Brooklyn. Do we have Brooklyn in the house? All right, no Brooklyn in the house. Let's go with Nassau. Do we have some Nassau County in the house? Oh, I don't know, Nassau. You guys are looking like you might just win this. Let's see. All right, so let's get started. So we'll start with Queens. Very nice, Queens. Very nice, Queens. Let's go to Nassau. All right, all right. All right, Nassau and Queens, we see you. Let's go with Suffolk County. All right, Manhattan. Is Manhattan here? All right, all right. So I'm going to have to give it to Suffolk County. That was awesome, students. Thank you, thank you. And good work, Suffolk County. So now I have the honor of introducing Dean Igarashi. So he is the dean of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University, and he was one of the first people who showed excitement when we first pitched this idea of the Black Men in White Coats Summit. He just saw the opportunity that it could make to impact the community and students, so he took out the time out of his day to be here and say some words to you of how special this is to him that you all are here. So let's give a round of applause for Dean Igarashi.
Oh, music. Well, good morning. Listen, it's great to see you all in person today. It's really, on behalf of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University, welcome to what we hope will be the first of many youth summits sponsored by Black Men in White Coats. So thank you for coming this morning. So our purpose today is to introduce you to the exciting career options that are available in healthcare, whether that's to be a doctor, a nurse, a dentist, social worker, occupational therapist, physical therapist, the list goes on and on. What we've learned over the years is that the earlier people get introduced to healthcare careers, the more likely it is that they will enter healthcare careers. And so that's a big reason why I'm so delighted to see all of you here today. In my own case, I became interested in becoming a doctor when I was exactly your age, as a middle school student. My father was a scientist, and my mother worked for the Social Security Administration as a claims rep. And it was a combination of science in service of people, that motivated me to become a doctor and enter a career in medicine. And I hope that each of you students has similar role models, mentors, teachers who are supporting you and guiding your career development so that you can fulfill your individual aspirations, hopefully in healthcare. The other reason we do this is actually very selfish. As you may know, there is a shortage of healthcare providers in this country, and the shortage is getting worse. Particularly as the baby boomers in my generation get older, there aren't enough doctors, nurses, dentists, social workers, and so forth to provide care for older people especially. And so that's another reason why we're personally interested in attracting many of you into careers in healthcare. Now, the Renaissance School of Medicine, which is the medical school at Stony Brook University, is committed to three major goals. The first is to train an outstanding group of physicians and physician leaders who will serve our communities for years to come. The second is to generate new knowledge that can advance medicine in all areas. Okay, and the third is to provide access to healthcare, high-quality healthcare, irrespective of our patients' backgrounds. But the fourth most important goal today is to promote a diverse workforce, healthcare workforce. And the reason for that is very simple. Diverse healthcare teams outperform teams that are not as diverse. That's been proven over and over again. So if we aspire to produce excellent healthcare for our communities, then we want to have a diverse workforce. And the second is that the outcomes of our patients are actually better if the physician workforce and the other healthcare workforce is more diverse. And for these reasons, we're absolutely committed to this as a goal, and that is the reason why Black Men in White Coats was launched nationally. And in 2022, I'm proud that the Renaissance School of Medicine chapter was the first chapter that was established on Long Island. So congratulations, guys. Okay, lastly, what I hope you'll do today is keep an open mind. As you came in the door, you probably had some idea maybe of what kind of career you wanted to pursue. What we want to do today is to show you the wide spectrum of opportunities that are available, whether it's to be a physician, a nurse, or other healthcare provider. Listen, ask questions, be inquisitive. If something attracts your attention, ask questions about it. And most of all, enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you all for coming today.
All right, one more round of applause for Dina Garashi. All right, thank you so much, Dina Garashi, for those encouraging words and bringing us back to the purpose of why we're all here, the history of Black men in white coats. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Gregson Piggott. So I'll just read a little bio on Dr. Gregson Piggott. But let's just, we'll talk about Dr. Gregson Piggott now. So he's the Commissioner of Health for Suffolk County since 2020, leading the local health department response to the COVID-19 pandemic. He served as the Director of the Office of Minority Health in the Suffolk County Department of Health and the Medical Director for Suffolk's Emergency Medical Services, and as a physician in the Hudson Opioid Treatment Program, providing methadone to county residents and people suffering with opioid use disorder. So he was born in Brooklyn and grew up in Valley Stream. He earned his MD from Brown University Medical School and an MPH from Harvard. He completed his residency training in internal medicine at Cambridge Hospital. He is board certified in internal medicine and is a clinical assistant professor in preventative medicine at Stony Brook. He also worked as a primary care provider in the community health centers in Brownsville, New York, and Cambridge, Massachusetts, caring mainly for the underserved. Dr. Piggott is fluent in Spanish and is an accomplished gospel and jazz musician. He is married and has 2 young adult children, and he continues to be passionate about improving the health of minorities. So let's give a warm applause to Dr. Piggott.
That's my theme music. Ain't no stopping us now. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for this auspicious occasion. Particularly a shout out to my professional brethren, Dr. Will Farquharson, And why am I blanking, man? Why am I blanking on you? Yeah, I know, Dr. Jadan. Yeah, Jadan Phillips. Dr. Al Dustis Jordan, I appreciate you coming as well. I'd just like to say to you all that representation matters. And I'm looking and I see black and brown excellence in this room. And I know some of you are going to be a few years from that, but I see it. I already see excellence in this room. Why do I say that representation matters? It's because we are underrepresented in healthcare fields across the board. And if you look at even physicians in the United States, I believe under 6% of physicians in the United States are African American, whereas the population is around 13%. So we are underrepresented, and representation matters. I'm just going to recount my mom had a stroke recently, and she still lives in the house that I grew up in Valley Stream in Nassau County. And we have a local hospital. It's Franklin General Hospital. It was renamed. I'm not going to go into that because it's, it's not in the Stony Brook system. I'll put it that way. But I was noticing something when she was admitted there, and I was seeing from across the board in that particular hospital, from the medical transporters to security to the food and nutrition staff, through the nursing staff, through the physical occupational therapy staff, and even one of the hospitalists, they were all people of color. And I just felt it was like being among family. It was like being in a hospital and knowing that these folks have your back. And it's important to say that representation matters in all aspects of healthcare, in all aspects of this field, and that we need to continue to pursue that because, as the torch is passed, I'm in my mid-50s now. At some point, I'm going to retire, but I'd like to see the generation behind me take over these roles, and particularly at the top of the food chain where you have the decision makers in healthcare, where you have the decision makers in hiring, where you have the decision makers in policy. I'd like to see black and brown excellence in all aspects of these things. My background, I'm from Brooklyn, as the bio said. My parents got me out into the suburbs, and they moved me into Valley Stream in the Elmont School District. And this is in the mid-'70s. So my neighborhood, when I was growing up, was Italian and Irish, all right? But I'm coming there as the third grader, and so I didn't know anything about that. It's, people are people. When you're in third grade, you're, 8, 9, 10 years old. You don't really, I wouldn't say you don't see color, but it's not, you don't understand the implications of that as in the United States, as how we view color, in our adulthood. And so you get to learn families, and you get to learn that people are people, and that, I relate very well now, and it served me well in my current role in Suffolk County, dealing with all county residents, in a county that is predominantly white. But having grown up in a diverse community that was majority white, I can now very well relate to Long Islanders. And because of that, it has served me well, because what I have to do now in Suffolk County in the commissioner role is be the face of the health department and the subject matter experts for a lot of situations that occur. So obviously COVID was the big one when the health commissioner was called upon. It's like, well, why are all these people coughing and getting these bad pneumonias and getting admitted to the hospitals, and having to be front and center in dealing with elected officials, dealing with the media, and explaining why it was important for people to get vaccines and how they're saving lives. These things mattered, and to see a man of color up there in front of the media reassuring the public and actually getting the buy-in of all the county, of a lot of folks in county government. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. Most of county offices in Suffolk County are not filled by people of color. I don't know if you realize that or not. This is a majority white county. But being able to speak on that level and to communicate is the value that I've been bringing to this position. I've been there since February of 2020. And I'll tell you another story. This was now in September, where we had what they called a mass casualty incident. And this is in Stony Brook, not too far from here, where people had gone to a restaurant and they ate something, and about 15 minutes to a half hour later, they all started vomiting. And it was like, well, what's going on here? And of course, you know, the health department is front and center in that, right? That's our job. We inspect the restaurants, we permit the restaurants in Suffolk County, make sure they're serving healthful food that does not get the public sick. And then drilling into that, seeing what my staff does, what they call food sanitarians or food inspectors. That was a valuable, eye-opening experience to me, but I had to communicate that to the media. So I'm having, you know, Channel 2, Channel 4 looking for me. Well, what's going on? Why are all these people vomiting? And having to explain that there's this toxin that if you leave rice, if you cook rice and boil rice in the morning, and if you leave it out all day, if you don't refrigerate it or if you don't keep it hot, you have these bacterial spores that reactivate, and all of a sudden, when the bacteria are reconstituted, they secrete this toxin into the rice, and then the toxin is a gastric irritant, and it can cause people to vomit. And explaining that in lay terms so that the public understands, that's the role of a health commissioner, and that's what I have strived to be, is be able to communicate to the public and to get these things out. But I just like to tell you all that representation matters, and I had to work my way up. It's not like I, you know, became a commissioner overnight. I had to pay my dues in the health department, work in minority health, and whatever task was asked of me, whether it was in a methadone clinic, where what we call them opioid treatment programs now. We can't say methadone clinic. But the idea is for people who are struggling with having to take opioids really to function normally. Opioids are things like Percocet or heroin, or fentanyl now, which is what's commonly in the illicit drug market. But having to work with that population and understand them, emergency medical services, I've done that, whatever's been asked of me. But there's a process, and I encourage you all to continue to pursue your dreams, and importantly, that representation matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Piggott, for telling us about your experiences as a physician and Suffolk County Health Commissioner. One more round of applause for Dr. Piggott.